Hi, Pleasant View Bible Church. I wanted to give an update to all of you regarding our church's plan for reopening in the coming months. As many of you know, our Governor Holcomb, has begun to lift restrictions throughout the state in most counties, including ours. And he has put out a 4-stage reopening plan, and this affects churches and the recommendations that they have given to us as churches. And so yesterday evening, our elders met online to discuss what we feel is best and most wise for our church as we try to put some things into practice and begin to consider reopening. One of the things that it says in the governor's plan is that churches are, in fact, exempt from the reopening guidelines. But as we read that, it seems like it's more or less in an attempt to be as sensitive as possible to freedom of religion and not wanting to walk on those rights. At the same time, it does ask that churches comply as much as possible with the social distancing guidelines and recommendations for everyone else. And that includes continuing to meet and do things online as much as possible. So for that reason and a few others, which I'll share here in a few moments, our elders feel that at this time it would be most prudent for us to continue providing essentially the same services in the same format that we have been throughout this COVID-19 crisis, at least for the next 6 weeks. If things continue to go well throughout the community, and there are no changes to the proposed reopening timeline set forth by Governor Holcomb, then our tentative plan is to have our first in-person church service on Sunday, June 14th. This is the first day of stage 4 of the reopening timeline. This is where they have the loosest restrictions leading up to June 3rd when everything July 3rd or July 4th, when everything is expected to be reopened. This is still tentative. The governor's plans that he has laid out are said to be tentative. Of course, they and we will be seeing what happens community-wide as things begin to open back up. And if the need arises, we may have to push this date back some. When we do reopen, assuming that it takes place on June 14th, this will not include Sunday school. This will just be our 10:15 a.m. service for various reasons. Probably the biggest one has to do with the difficulty that we would have in trying to provide services for children with the lack of volunteers that we anticipate due to the fact that those who are in high-risk categories are still being encouraged to stay home And so at this time, we envision just having our regular church service on that date and not trying to do children's ministries at that time yet. Some of the things that one has to consider when we think about opening church back up, while at the same time maintaining most of the social distancing requirements that we've been asked to comply with if we go ahead and open up, would just be very difficult for us at this time due to the size of our church and so on. Trying to maintain 6 feet apart, trying to encourage everyone to be wearing masks, trying to adhere to the request that we dismiss people in a way that doesn't break social distancing guidelines. In other words, they don't want us to really get together and have fellowship. They're basically suggesting if we want to get together, stay apart from each other with masks and listen to a service and then have everyone leave. To think the implications of trying to do that doesn't really sound all that exciting from a fellowship standpoint. It sounds kind of difficult and rigorous, frankly. Additionally, seniors, as I mentioned, and high-risk people are encouraged to stay home. Likewise, the difficulty in providing nursery or children's ministries under those sorts of social distancing requirements would be very difficult. And so any families with young children, it would make it difficult for them to come. Certainly those with infants or babies would be almost impossible to have a nursery time. And so that would likewise make it hard for us and for those people. And so we're still going to need to continue to do the sorts of services online that we have been doing. And in addition to the fact that things are still said to be somewhat tentative, we're still trying to kind of watch and see what happens. Things seem to change all the time as far as understanding of this virus and whether or not it's a risk in certain situations, whether or not the plans to reopen will stay in place or not. We're also concerned about change fatigue and just the amount of changes to the paradigms of people's lives that they are having to endure during this. The thought of making large-scale changes for people to kind of adapt to and learn that will then in 2 more months be changed again to go to something different. We felt like that too was another reason to maybe just continue doing things as we are, provide a little more stability and predictability for people, including those who are trying to put together the services, those who would be in charge of trying to run them or oversee enforcing some of these guidelines. That being said, those who are healthy and do have a strong desire for in-person, person-to-person fellowship, one way that we thought we might be able to encourage that or facilitate that would be to suggest for those who want to and are able to on Sundays at 1 p.m. each week, weather permitting, that we encourage folks to meet up at Center Lake Park for just do a picnic lunch together. Bring your own lunch or stop and pick something up somewhere and stop in. Nothing formal, kind of come and go as you desire. And you can fellowship, you can police yourself with whatever sort of social distancing you want to adhere to, but just an opportunity for several of us to be together at the same place, say hello from 6 feet away, or if you want to get closer than that, it's sort of on you and what you're comfortable with. But we feel like that might be a safer and easier bet. We had considered the thought of outdoor services or such. The thought of having to every week be looking at the weather and making last minute decisions and trying to communicate to everybody whether we're doing it that way or a different way. We just thought, again, people that have enough anxiety over trying to figure out what to expect for tomorrow or what they're going to do, we feel the predictability of the present format is a better choice at this time still than something that's going to be weather dependent. But we would encourage it if you're able and you want to and you think it's safe for you and your family to come on out and do lunch together this Sunday at 1 o'clock at Center Lake Park. We're thinking to plan on the northeast side of the park, kind of across from Pizza Hut. There's a small parking lot there, and there's some areas there. That's where we're thinking maybe we'll encourage people to meet. So if you have questions, feel free to email me or Pastor Jason or Pastor Kevin. You can call us, whatever, and maybe you'll think of some things that we forgot or that we haven't considered, and we'll be happy to try to figure those things out together. So that's all at this point. Hope you have a good day. Hope you're all staying safe, and hope you are maintaining your joy in the Lord during these very different times. Thanks. I love you. Goodbye.